I hate how much I enjoy racing gravel because I definitely talked a lot of smack on it. I was just such a XCO cross-country racer and not an endurance athlete at all. You had a lot of people that were in that road discipline and kind of got a little bit too tired of, you know, the crashing or all the rules or whatnot, and gravel provided this new place that you can go and be on these roads that are most of the time not paved, out in nature, kind of enjoying it and kind of going for this epic adventure. No, I actually really like gravel. And there's always drama, which keeps it kind of interesting. The biggest takeaway from Unbound, the massive pileups, you know, the crashes, the weather, the downpour, the mudslides, like it was just so chaotic. And I don't know, I think a lot of people going into that race said that the girl that was the defending champ was gonna win. And that kind of ticked me because I'm like, there's so many, the talent this year was gonna be the best it's ever been. A lot of women put this race as their priority race, and like for people to already say someone's won without the race even started, it's like, come on. Unbound was a race in my calendar that at first I was like, I'm just gonna participate on this race because 200 miles in Kansas, 10, 12-hour day, that's gonna be really hard and gonna wreck me for the rest of the season. And then there was an article that a fellow cyclist, male cyclist, wrote, and he called me a newbie and said that because I've never done Unbound, I couldn't win it. There was something about being called a newbie that just didn't sit well with me, and I kept complaining about it, and my partner Keegan goes, well, why don't you train to win that race instead? And I was like, oh shit, that's a good idea. I raced so hard in the first 2.5, 3 hours, like go big or go home. That was kind of my attitude, and to my luck, it ended up, you know, giving me a win. And there's always been drama in the women's race at Unbound. There's always like a bunch of articles and just all this negativity and, oh, this isn't fair, that's not fair. And there was nothing on my race. It was like, nope, I just straight up won it. Maybe actually what we can do is put those
This bike's going to be used over at Steamboat, and it's a 142-mile gravel sort of road race that everybody's heading over to on Sunday. So since it's a gravel race, it has a lot of hard pack stuff. We're going with the super narrow 32C tires.
Steamboat gravel last year was my first mass start gravel race. I learned everything about gravel racing. I got my ass kicked.
We were thinking, gosh, there is not a gravel event on a large scale in the Rocky Mountains, and is this something that we could do? We decided we want a big scale gravel event. Lived in Steamboat Springs, started racing in Colorado, and raced a bit around both the US, South America, and Europe. I think having a background in bike racing was really instrumental in putting together SBT Gravel.
My background comes from having always been in UCI mountain bike racing, where there's rules and like different start times for men and women. So I think I also approach gravel in an extremely professional way, which I think a lot of the OG gravel people, it was more of like a fun thing.
What I would say is that's one of the great things of gravel is, as race directors, we don't have a governing body, and for that reason, we're able to come up with what we think is the thing. We want to be fun. We want to be inclusive. It's very different than a competitive road racing. Once selections are made, let's ride with people, let's enjoy the day, we can still race. And that in my mind is what the spirit of gravel is.
Fuck the spirit of gravel. A lot of road people have come into gravel and they're like, oh, the spirit of gravel, which is just kind of the fun that you have on dirt. Coming from mountain biking, like I know how to have fun. Like mountain biking is literally the spirit of gravel. We
really try to operate on, let's create this an equal opportunity for a great experience for everyone. We think that people sort themselves out. Though the people who are trying to win are gonna make their way to the front.
I really want to perform at Steamboat, but I just gotta get through 105 miles at 10,000 feet first. What the heck is Leadboat, right? You have on Saturday the most iconic mountain bike race in the US called the Leadville 100, which is not 100, it's 105 miles, which is kind of bothers me. Throughout those 105 miles, you're climbing about 12,000 feet. So it's a really big day. And then on Sunday, there's this new race called Steamboat Gravel that's been around for a few years. That is kind of one of the more iconic gravel races in the US. And that's 140 miles in Steamboat Springs, Colorado.
We all decided to call a handful of pros. My first call was Casey Armstrong, and I was like, hey Casey, I have this wild idea, want to hear what you think. Would you ever do Leadville and then SBT back to back? She's like, 100%. Like, of course I would. That sounds awesome. I'm in. And every single call went that way.
You know, now this year I'm like, well, why not, right? Like, let's go take the challenge and see what it is. And I think pushing that boundary of what I think it's hard. I did Cape Epic, okay, we moved that higher. I did Unbound, okay, that was really hard, higher. And now we're doing Leadboat, that it's 2 days at high altitude over 100 miles. So I think, you know, if I can do a stage race that's 8 days long on my mountain bike, I'm pretty confident that I can do just as good, you know, on a 2-day. Really, the big question is, how's the altitude really gonna affect?
Dialing it back a little bit, keeping within yourself is really critical here. When you redline, it takes a really long time to recover.
I've started to learn that in order for me to win races, I need to go hard the whole time. So my plan for tomorrow is to be pretty aggressive on the first, you know, opening 20 miles. It's like, okay, let's give it all we got and try to get to that finish line as fast as possible. And then you're like racing over 100 miles at such high elevation. Like, why would you want to do that to yourself? But like Keegan, this is probably his most favorite race on the calendar. Like, loves this place.
And did he give you any tips?
Just don't blow up. That's really the main thing. Because I do race pretty aggressive. So it's like if I go too much into like my red zone, like if I push more than like 260 watts for a while up here, we're probably gonna get into some trouble.
How'd you sleep?
Not good. I haven't been this nervous for a race in a very long time. I think I maybe went to sleep at like midnight. Can't tell you how many times I count sheep backwards. It's pretty funny. And this race is so iconic. And like, I don't know, I do want to have a good performance here. And it's just like, yeah, I've never done it. I've never raced this high. Never, yeah, it's just new territory. I knew that the preparation for it was going to be key. You know, at home, we've been sleeping super high, like at 9,000 feet. I've never had such good elevation power numbers, had a great week training at Copper. I was like full confidence. And then we got down to power line and I just sent it on my little hardtail with a high post and I got a little bit of a separation and I was just starting to feel a little bit off and like I put some energy chews in my mouth and all of a sudden I was like, you know, I should probably spit these out because they're not going to go down, and I spit them out and all of a sudden I was like throwing up, and you know, for I think it's like twice that it happened. And I was like, I'm just going to do the climb, get to the top, go see what the infamous top of Columbine is. While we're going up that long climb, the men are starting to go down, and you know, Keegan comes flying first, Lexi, Howard, like bunch of the guys, and I'm like, where is Russell? Like, what is happening with him? And then all of a sudden, I just see him running down the hill, and I'm like, what happened? He got a flat tire and then tried to ride it and then just like blew up his wheel. I was just like, just take my wheel. I don't feel good. Like, I don't know if it's healthy for me to continue. Change wheels, sent him off, and I was like, you go hard all the way to the finish line.
Keegan, Swenson on the hip. We got it under 6 hours. Let's go.
I was walking my way down Columbine and came across my teammate Sofía, who graciously gave me her rear wheel out there, which allowed me to finish and get inside the top 10. So that was so nice of her, and very grateful.
It's just like, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of altitude sickness, like I didn't sleep good last night.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
All right, get this camera up.
The biggest advantage of having done Steamboat is I know that the gravel isn't that bad.
It's often termed champagne gravel. It's really smooth.
I know the course, which there's not much technical stuff to it. You know, there might be one little bit of single track.
There are just a couple of sections that will keep you on your toes.
That it's really not even single track, it's just this little dirt field that they kind of have us go through.
You're on a double track section and you go through single track into a little water crossing and then back onto double track.
But I'm super confident in that aspect. Everybody's legs are gonna feel awful. It's just more about knowing that I have done the work and that I have the fitness and that I have the skills and the tactics to be able to put it together. The thing with mass start gravel races, the first hour is super chaotic and you never know what's gonna happen.
The mass start dynamic is interesting and it's often talked about.
I've always been pretty vocal about my stance on the mass start part of events. I think I've always been against them, actually.
Can women ride with men or should women ride with women only? And from my perspective, I think it's a great thing.
I won Unbound, but was that really a women's race? I never raced with any other women. I was literally me in a lead group of 60 men.
The fastest women can probably and do hang with some of the really strong men. We see that unfold every single year here, that we have women who are able to hang in that first selection with the men, and that's a great thing.
You never really know where the women are. You're like, I hope there's not another woman on that, you know, on that next group up ahead.
You're back in the roadie days, it's women, sometimes their groups were tiny, you know, they separate into categories, and I think some of that is really what created a barrier to entry. That's really what made road cycling less appealing to people. You don't want to just race with the 10 other women in your categories or in your age group. Let's all go together. Let's see how it unfolds, and we think that's the beauty of gravel.
I have always been an advocate for women to have their own start and their own race. I think we're capable, but I'm also super realistic on how that would happen. You know, I don't think we can jump into something like Steamboat or Unbound, these really long days on the saddle, and do just a women's race, you know, because when you do a separate start, I do think that there needs to be no drafting. So no man can play a role in the women's race or affect it in any way, shape, or form. So I think there needs to be a start, you know, at smaller races where the finishing time might be closer to 3 to 5 hours. I think that the women can really show what a women's peloton can do and just how much more exciting that race is gonna be. And as you grow that peloton and the talent gets bigger and bigger, then you can start to think about applying that idea into Steamboat or Unbound. But it's like, if the game is played this way, like, I'm happy to play it and I will win. I can also win if it's just the women racing the women.
Well, in terms of predictions, it's hard to say because Leadboat creates a really interesting element to it. We have a very deep field, so Lauren De Crescenzo, who won last year, is going well. She's strong. Sofía, who is absolutely flying, is also a really strong contender. She won Unbound. She kind of has all those skill sets that you need to do well at SBTs. Leadboat creates a very interesting element to that because she will have raced Leadville 100 mountain bike race the day before SBT gravel, and no matter who you are and how fit you are, that is a big deal. That will take something out of you. So that will really depend on her recovery after that race, being able to come to SBT and have a good event.
How am I gonna recover between the two? The first thing is having lunch ready. So we actually have Costco enchiladas that are gonna be ready to go from when we finish, which are gonna be amazing. I have the privilege of being driven to Steamboat, so I don't have to drive, so that's kind of nice.
It's insane. It's insane to do Leadville and drive 2.5 hours to Steamboat and get here late at night and wake up at 5 in the morning and race SBT Gravel Black. Like, that is huge. It doesn't matter who you are. That is an incredible challenge.
We're gonna do some little squeezy leg action, you know, at the camp spot on Saturday, and then just make sure we get a really good night's sleep, I think. And the other thing is gonna be letting go of Saturday and that result, and just taking a deep breath and kind of focusing on the next day, because if you have a really good day or if you have a really bad day, you can waste a lot of mental energy on that. So I think just kind of giving yourself the time to kind of check out and be present and allow yourself to recover without all the noise of social media is going to be pretty huge.
She woke up feeling a bit sick, just like stomach stuff. I'm not sure if it's just from racing yesterday. I guess the altitude, we had the same dinner. So I think she might have gotten like a mild case of altitude sickness or something. Didn't sleep super great, I think just after racing and stuff, but not horrible, you know. I have no idea what I'm doing because I've never ridden this course. And nothing to lose today, which is nice. There's no Grand Prix, no overall. Just racing.
As soon as that alarm went on, I just opened my eyes and I was like, oh no, my tummy is just not there at all.
The break went around mile 20, very early. So there's 3 of them that rolled off.
Out of 5 goals, taking the left-hand corner. We got 3 athletes, it looks like, on a little bit of a breakaway.
I kind of hesitated to go, and I was like, maybe I should go. And if I go, then everyone's just going to chase immediately. I'm definitely kind of a marked rider in races like this.
So I got up, folded up the bed, you know, like started to make coffee, you know, sipping on my coffee, and I was just like, I know I'm gonna throw up at some point, so I might as well throw up and see if that makes me feel better.
So anyway, the break was only 3 minutes up. No one was motivated to chase. There'd be like a few of us motivated, and then no one else would work, so then we don't want to work, and then it just becomes this weird dynamic, which is really frustrating to me. It's like, if we catch them, we can win.
As I was puking my stomach out, Keegan was just in there getting changed, just vibing, like he was chugging a Monster Mango Loco at like 5:20 a.m. and he was just, I was like, oh, you are gonna have such a good day.
We have our 3 leaders coming through here. Right now, these guys have 5:45 on the main peloton.
We chased for a while, and then we'd sit up, not really do anything. There was like an hour where we were like just really just soft pedaling. It's frustrating for a lot of us, and it seems like it upsets mountain bikers the most.
Mountain bikers, roadies, different athletes are coming into gravel and kind of who has that advantage.
The mountain bikers have this upper hand on skills, which is a lot harder to learn than fitness. Like a good base season and a good year of training, your fitness will get a huge bump and you should be able to be right up there.
An event like SBT Gravel, having a good understanding of how a peloton operates and riding in that pack, potentially it might favor roadies.
Like my gravel and road racing tactics could use a little bit of work. I think road racing and some gravel races, sometimes you're just chilling, and that's hard for me to wrap my head around, that that's part of racing and that that's okay, and that's actually sometimes the best thing.
That doesn't mean a mountain biker can't win SBT. They 100% can. We've been surprised year after year with what we've seen.
I get a little bit antsy sometimes and I want to go hard. Like as a mountain bike racer, you're always going hard. You're always on the pipe, you're always drilling it. If I sign up for a race and I line up, I'm gonna race, you know?
Right now, big news is men's group of 3 still up the road. That's Nathan Spratt, Freddie Ovett, and John Borselman with, get this, an 8 to 9 minute lead on the chase group. Also, it seems like maybe some negative racing, so that group is not really chasing right now.
And then after just doing nothing for an hour, the break of 10 minutes.
Mile 58, there was a big gap and we had heard that it had gone up to like 10 minutes in the men's race.
Feed 3, a bunch of us skipped that zone and just kept rolling because we had packs and 2 bottles. So we're like, let's not stop. We'll just stay on the gas and try and catch this break. Today I was pretty much ride or die to win. I was either gonna win or blow up trying.
Still that group of 3 off the front. Chase group is coming, and now apparently the chase is on. They went through that climb, but from miles 92 to 100, that group brought the gap back from 8 minutes, 4 minutes. So it's on.
Is it possible for someone to win both Leadville and SBT Gravel?
I think so. I think it is possible.
I do think it's possible. We haven't seen it yet, but man, it'd be incredible.
But it takes a lot of luck.
I put in a pretty good effort to try and get a small group rolling to catch those 3 because we just couldn't cohesively get the group going. So I decided I'd attack and see if I could like break off a few that were strong to come with.
And then at 1:26, they come through and it's like a minute 40. And it was like Keegan and a few other guys. And I was like, oh man, I think Keegan could really win and do the double, you know?
But the big news is that group was working hard, and it's a 1-minute gap to 4 athletes chasing. You know it, he raced yesterday, he's raced pretty hard today. Keegan Swenson, Payson McElwain, Brendan Wirtz, and Ethan Villaneda. That group of 4 is a minute behind.
And then we caught the last 2 at the very top of the last climb. Then we have podium secured. And then leading into town, Sofía had told me that the finish was a little bit hectic because there's like cones and there's 100-mile finishers racing and there's a lot going on.
We ran through the course last night and I was like, these are the key sections. And remember, when you get to that finish, you make a right and there's cones. And I'm like, you start your sprint right there.
So she said just to attack as soon as you see the cones. So I attacked and yeah, that was it.
Yeah, this is sad in a way. It's not what I wanted out of myself, but it's just one bad race. I thought I had the potential to win today.
I mean, that was my goal all along. I mean, I wanted to win Leadville. I won it last year. I wanted to defend my title, but I wanted to win Steamboat as well. And I don't know, it's cool. I mean, it's the first time it's been done, and we'll see if anyone else can do it or if I can do it again.
Dating Keegan is hard. You know, we've been together for over a decade. When we started racing, you know, he was this little mountain bike racer that had just gone onto this like factory team, and then I kind of got into the sport, and I've kind of have experienced my own rise, and you know, I've had to tell him like I've been such a supportive girlfriend the whole time, and I thrive in that role because that is who I am. But in order for me to be a professional racer at races, like I need to separate from that. It's almost like that's my personal life and it stays at home. And it's like, yeah, when I'm done racing, like I focus on myself. Like I can't go get a recovery shake, eat, and then go cheer you on course. Because if the tables were reversed, I know he wouldn't do that for me, because what you need to do in order to perform, it's just not that. And you know, like I think a lot of people see me at the same level as Keegan, because yeah, we're at the same age, we're racing at the same level, kind of winning the same races. But he's been racing professionally since he was, you know, 17, 18, and I really started to race professionally at the age of 23. And when it comes to this like marathon, long distance style racing, like this is my first season focusing on it. And I don't think people quite realize that it's like, for me this year is truly a trial and error type of year. This year, it's in a way, it's hard. It's like he's also winning everything. And it's like, you know, I look at a lot of couples where they celebrate like, you know, a third, a second, or like, yeah, win here and there. But for us, it's like, I come home and I am comparing myself. It's a win or nothing. Like, second place is like, it's not that it's not acceptable, because I know he doesn't give a crap about where I finish. But it's like when you come home and you're comparing yourself to someone that has basically gone undefeated this whole year, aside from Unbound, like that's really hard. And it's, you know, it's not easy at all. But yeah, we kind of make it work.
Yeah, Sofía and I don't really get to travel together a whole lot. I mean, she's on Specialized and I race for Santa Cruz, so she does her thing, I do mine, and this race, you know, be able to spend some more time with her around the races is cool. So,
like the thing I think I'm the most looking forward to is after Big Sugar that Monday, Keegan and I fly out straight to Mexico for our vacation, and I think it's going to be the first vacation we have taken together in, you know, the decade that we've been together. So, wherever we finish the season, we fly straight from there to where we're going, like no excuses, no bikes. We're gonna go hang out at the beach and do nothing.